Hey option traders, purpose of this video is to help you optimize your option strategies, especially for those people who have been trading just calendars or just iron condors or just butterflies. And I'm sure that you've seen that there can be a lot of volatility risk, and that can ultimately lead to you exiting trades way before expiration where you're supposed to get paid. So the point of option hybrids is to optimize theta and decrease vega risk, and allow flexibility in your day-to-day P&L by hedging. Okay, so this trade is my bread and butter trade. I'm putting it all out there. If you really like this kind of thing, I'd encourage you to hit the like button, subscribe, and sign up for our email list. That's the link below. And I can, we have free workshops all over the United States all the time. And I will make sure that you get invited. Okay, so the first step, let's set this thing up. The first step is to sell the put spread, a vertical put spread at 30 delta. Okay, that's step number one. Okay, 30 delta put spread. Second step is to go in to your 40, like your 40, let's say 40 delta, and you're gonna buy. So this is the 30-40 trade. We have different ones, but this is the 30-40. Okay, and that's what your first wing looks like. I have some other ones on. All right, that's what your first side should look like. You're selling one, you're buying one. Okay. Yeah. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. You're going to sell a 30 delta call. Let's just take that off so we can just see it kind of independently. You're going to sell a 30 delta call. Okay. And you're going to buy a 40 delta call spread. That's what that should look like. Okay, and then you're gonna do it with both. You're gonna put both of them on. This is your base. This is your base structure, and it's a double butterfly, base. It's kind of it's more like a double butterfly than a condor, right? And if you look at the Greeks on this thing, let's just look at the Greeks. Okay, you're making about $10 a day on $1,000 risk capital. That's about a 1% return on risk per day. But the problem is the vega to theta ratio is about 4-to-1, but it's still, even if you traded this by itself, it's still a good, risk to reward. The problem comes in, let's say, if you want to stay in longer, okay, that's where the problem comes in, because the theta gets away from you. Let's say you want to stay in a week to the 16, you're making $10 a day, you made $100, you could be out within, no time with this. If you're going to 2 weeks, still that's a 20% return on risk capital in a couple weeks. Okay, so it can be traded by itself, and as time goes on, the theta to vega ratio gets better. The other advantage of having a double butterfly strategy like this is you can really manage your delta risk. Give you an example. Let's say you've been in this trade a few days and the market is moving up beyond your break even. It's starting to get away from you. Let's say this moves up to 3995. You don't have a lot of theta here and you're starting to take a loss. Look at your theta to vega, your delta to theta ratio. All right, 1 to 10, about 10% of theta. So at this point, what you could do is you could sell a put spread, okay, one of your put spreads, and knock that down. Eliminate that delta just like that. Okay, now you bought yourself a little more time. You bought yourself a little more wiggle room to the upside. And you took a little hit there. But you're able to stay in the trade longer because you're able to smooth out that delta risk. Same thing with the on the other side. If the market started moving down, you could and the delta gets long, right? You would sell the call side, spread on the call side. Now, the other thing that's really interesting about this trade is that you can, in order to eliminate vega risk, okay, you can go in and at the beginning you are adding a calendar. So in your calendars, you want to be like a week out or no more than a week. Or 2 weeks, maybe there we go. Okay, that one didn't work because that one wasn't available. Okay, so let's say we add one calendar. All right, there we go. And we're back to the beginning of the trade. Okay. Back to day one. And look at your Greeks. See, your Greeks are now 1-to-1. And you're bringing in more theta. You're bringing in $30 a day on 3,000 risk, still about a 1% decay rate. Okay. All right, and as you're not, if you're bringing in 1% a day and your objective is to be out within 7 days, you're taking this thing off every 7 to 10 days and repeating the process. And during the journey, okay, let's say it's day 2 and market is moving up, right? And you want to eliminate delta risk, okay? So you would go to the put side in this case, right? And you would eliminate some of the put spreads. Okay, you see how I'm bringing that down? Okay, now a couple days go by, and you know, you're still at this, around this price, and theta's kicking in. Okay, now you have a long range where you can go. Even if the market came back down to here at 383904, you really don't need to make any adjustments. Okay, because this isn't even 10% of the theta, right? And your vega to theta is very controlled as well. So you can just, you know, continue to let the theta come in. All right, even if it moves down to here, you know, your theta, you could kind of tweak that one a little bit by selling a couple calls. See that? Okay, so we knocked down the call spread. Okay, so over time, what you're doing is, now say if it moves up, you know, you might even want to get out by now, because you really, you know, you're making almost 100% return on your risk capital. All right. So the beautiful thing about this trade is that you're not managing your shorts. Okay, get that idea out of your head. You're not doing that, because that takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of slippage. So when you take off 10 spreads, you're thinking about the commission, and then you got to put on another 10. So that's another set of commissions, and then they might not even be filled at the same, you know, volatility and all that. So we're not doing that here. What we're doing here is saying, okay, if the market gets out of control, if our Greeks start getting out of control, we're just gonna manage that by buying back some of our, or selling off some of our debit spreads, whichever one that you need to do to balance out that delta. And you're going to let theta do the work. Let theta do the work for you. You know, theta's coming in. Now, statistically, you just had to keep in mind that, you know, most of the time, even if you let a spread go to expiration, most of the time you are going to expire within the 30 delta range most of the time. So keep that in mind. So what the game we're trying to play is not to lose money if it gets to one of these extremes, because we're hedging, and let the theta come into the trade. And you know, you're not getting out at expiration, but you know, when you start seeing you're getting a lot more than 10% here, if you do this right, you know, you're not necessarily going to expiration, but you can sustain going in a little bit longer than the typical 21 days with this trade if you're staying on top of your Greeks. So hopefully this was kind of enlightening for you. I know it's really helped me, because I found that just if you put one strategy on by itself, and I don't know if it's just me or if it's everybody out there, but I found that vega is typically, you know, just to wrap this up. Okay, if you go with just an iron condor, right? And, you know, from the get-go of the trade, you know, the vega to theta ratio is nearly 5 to 1, right? So yeah, theta is great, but if you have a sudden move in volatility, let's say volatility goes down a couple points, you're pretty, you're pretty bad off. So here's your volatility adjustment, and let's say the market goes up, okay, and then so volatility is going to go, in that case, it's going to go down, which is good for the strategy. Okay, so you're not really hurting there. But let's say the volatility goes down, goes up a couple, market goes down a good amount fast, and the volatility goes up a couple points. Well, now you're down $80, and let's say the market continues to go down. Okay, see, now this is where you don't know what to do. You're down on volatility, and it can happen fast because remember, it's 5 to 1. So now you've got to sit here. See, your theta's only coming in at 20 points a day. So in order to make, if volatility just stayed at that number, you've got to sit here for 10 days just to get back to break even. Okay, so that's why, you got to start combining these things right off the bat. Even if you just did calendar plus the calendar plus the shorts, okay? Even if you did this one, I mean, the vega to theta risk is 1 to 1 throughout this whole area. And sometimes even better than that. So you're really optimizing theta in this case. And that allows you to have more confidence to stay in a little bit longer. You don't necessarily have to start off with 10. You can start off with like that. Yeah, you can start off like this. And as your theta delta gets, or your delta to theta gets off a little bit, now you manipulate it so you can stay in those trades longer. Okay, smooth out your volatility curve. All right. Hope you enjoyed this video. Again, if you liked it, press like, subscribe, comment, and click the link for our free email and seminars. Thank you.